Okay, so in the previous couple of videos, we've used the same head. We've made a flat shank with no taper, and then a domed shank with no taper. So this one we're going to put a taper looking sideways in the side view, and we'll also put a nice little sort of tulip or champagne glass curve going this way as well. The other thing I want to do in this one is I want to build separately the top of the shank here and then the connector for the under gallery. So lots to get through, and let's get going. So I guess the first thing I do here is I'm going to get a few curves out in the through finger, just so I've got something to aim at. So I'll take the finger rail, curve menu, offset, and this time with a through point, just down there. Take this curve, split it with quad on. I don't want near on right now, I don't think. Split it there and at the quad. Get rid of that. And just a little curve here, 1.9 millimeters. Move this out. Move. Escape. Get rid of that, we don't need it. Just so we've got a little bit of a taper, we're going, I think it's 1.7 here, we're just going up to 1.9. And then we want to create this curve coming up here, and instead of going out like this, we're going to come in and go out. So to do, I'd start off doing that with just put a little tick up here. I want it to bury it a little bit inside the gallery, maybe with near on here, just around there, I guess. And then blend from this curve to this curve. And then, as long as you got history on, which we do, you can do all kinds of manipulation. We can rotate this a little bit. Maybe just a little. Yeah, that's actually not bad. I'm just going to offset this curve on a different color offset with the through point again, just out to my quad here. I just want to make sure, I don't want this. I don't want the shank actually getting thinner, going from thick to thin. So you can either manipulate this curve by rotating this one, or by turning control points on and just moving these around a bit. That up a bit. This guy. More. That's coming down, my son. That looks pretty good. Don't need that. Don't need that. Okay. Guess for right now we can join this, rebuild it to 11. That's okay. And now I want to offset, actually just before I do that, I just want to put a point oops, project off. I'm going to put a point here and here because I'm going to want to get some curves so that we can end up doing a sweep 2 and a curve network on this, but I need something to aim at. And I'm going to take this curve I'm going to take this and I'm going to rotate it. So we need to find a couple of more points here. Down at the for the width of the shank here. So down at the bottom of the shank, we've got about 3 millimeters. And then I want somewhere up here, maybe somewhere around here, I want this shank to taper out to about 5, and then I want it to come back into a point, maybe around 1 millimeter or something up here. So I'm going to need a couple of profiles to do that. So we'll take this guy and we will rotate him with copy turned on and project on from here. And where do I want this? Maybe here. That might be okay. So let's take, oops, in this view, give me a curve. So let's go to 5 millimeters, which would be 5.2 in the program, allowing for grinding and casting and polishing. Move from the mid, and one more curve, just from here with intersect on. Don't think I need all of those things. There. That's just to give me something to aim at. So we want this, but not that. We do want that. And then under transform, 1D scale from the mid to the edge and out right there. We don't need this. We don't need this. And then we can take this guy and we can duplicate it. I should have done it before I widen it, but that doesn't matter. Put right here. And we can rotate this. Down a little bit. We may move that around a bit. And get rid of these guys for a sec. I'm going to do the same thing here. Resize this one. These guys. So this one maybe comes down to, say, 1 millimeter. Move this just to the center, and then take all these bits and 1D scale. And holding down Shift will give me an intersect, and then bring it down to the end right there. Now let's just take a look and see how that looks. Okay. And while we're at it, we can bring this guy on. I guess we'll bring the point with us. I need a curve from end to mid, and if you hold down Tab, it will lock this angle, and then you can find the intersection. And that's just so that I can bring this top bit, move it, so that it intersects with this curve. This guy, and I want it to just, right, just get rid of this for 1 second here. I think I don't like that much. Just gonna make sure I did it correctly. Just take a measurement here, 1 millimeter. I guess that's fine. So next I'm going to take this curve, and I'm going to offset it with a through point. Whoops, not that. I'm going to take this curve and offset with a through point. And I want it right to this point here. And I just want to see how this goes and how it looks with just with this guy here. And that's nice and even. I think that'll be okay. See how many points. Okay, this can be rebuilt. We don't need that many points, so we'll rebuild this at 23. Don't need it. To 11. That's good. And I think what I'm going to do is I don't like this. This is a little bit too tight for my liking. So I'm going to take this curve, I'm going to split it at the intersection. And then I'm going to turn on control points. I'm just going to move, whoops, let's just undo that. I'm going to move this because I do want it to stay on these curves here. So I have project on and I've got near on. So I'm going to just take this and I'm going to move it maybe to about there. And just make all of these guys just a little bit closer up here. And this is just, we're just working now on the, sorry, I should have, we're just working here on this top curve part. So that's what these two curves are giving me. This is curve network again. So they're giving me this curve and this curve and then this curve. And I'm just playing around a little bit with how much of a curve we're going to get here. And I just want it to be a little bit less up top. Maybe I'll just bring this, I did it again. Move from there to here, right there. Okay. And then move this guy a little bit. And this guy a bit. Okay, I like that better. Now, I can take this curve and I can 1D scale from the end to the end and then up to here. And I like that shape a lot better. So I think that'll work well. And then I just have to check this guy and he can also come up as well. So we take this whole thing and we do it again, 1D scale. And with intersect turned on right there. Okay, so on creation, just need to join these guys up. Line, get rid of some of this stuff for the moment. End to end, to end. Same here. Okay, and then we're going to take this curve and we're going to offset this again. Let's try 1.5. Do this on red, I guess. Just going to bring this back. Just see what that looks like. I might want it to be a bit smaller here. So what I'm going to do finger and go to curve, arc direction from F4, from there to there. So we're going to follow the finger rail all the way up to this point. And then we're going to leave the finger rail and we're going to come up to this point here. 1.5. Actually, this is probably okay here. I don't mind that. 1.5 might be just a little bit too big. So I don't actually need that guy. I'm going to just take a curve with project on. And then we're going to blend again. From here to here. See what we got. Let's rotate this a bit. That's not bad. Get rid of that. Rebuild this. Seven. Bring the back on and see what I've got here. Just go down. I think this. I'd like this better if it's up a bit more. Maybe even this just a bit more. That looks okay. And then we're also going to need a curve. Arc direction from F4. Point to point. And we take this curve and we can go to transform and orient 2 points. Copy yes, 3D scale yes. And for this one, I like to turn off everything but what I need on. So end to end, end to end. Let's just see. That's fine. Okay. So that's our first set of, we've got our profiles and our first set of curves in the through finger, and now we need to get our second set of curves because we are going to be running under curve here. We're going to be running curve from 2 views to get all our lines up here. So in this viewport, I guess I can turn off this for a second. Now we want some curves to join all these guys up. So I'm going to take a different color and we'll go to arc direction, and I want to go, it's just points here, so I want to go from point to point, and point to point. I'm just going to change, it's just so visually I can see this a little bit better. I'll change these colors here. Let's put all this in white. And then this is going to be white as well. And we'll leave the others blue. And then once again, arc direction on blue this time. Point to point. And I'm just holding down Shift to lock this so that it comes in perpendicular at the first location. So from here to here, Shift held down, and you get this nice curve, like so. And you can play around with this forever. I won't. I think this will look fairly good. So now we're set up for our curve from 2 views. Put on a different color. Curve from 2 views under the curve menu. Curve from 2 views. this one, and this one, and this blue guy down here, and then the white ones, this guy, and then this guy, and this guy. Okay, so now we don't need that. We don't need this. Put all that on gray and turn it off. And we don't need this anymore. And as in the other videos, we can easily check, real quick check, select your curves under the curve menu, intersect, 4 intersections, and I just back out of this because I don't want more points up here. I'm just checking to make sure that all of these curves actually are touching. And just run that one more time, 4 intersections, back out of it. So everything's connecting up, and then I'm going to want to rebuild these because, again, when you do curve from 2 views, it often adds a lot of points. So I'll just turn on a control point here, and you can see there's a bunch, and we don't need that, so we can choose this. Let's just see how many we've got here under rebuild. We have 14 points, which we don't need. 7's probably fine for that one and for that one. So I'm just right-clicking to repeat it and right-clicking to accept. And on these guys, 18 points. Again, we don't need 18 points, maybe 9. Okay, and the same with here. Just right-click and accept. And then we can take these curves and we can mirror them to the other side. And there's our setup for running Sweep 2 and Curve Network. So let's do it. Build some surfaces here. On green, surface, Curve Network. Choose your curves. Enter, enter. Do it again, right-clicking. Enter, enter. And the top surfaces. Oops, I forgot. Okay, I have to split this curve, enter, with this curve, enter. Now I can do it. Curve Network. Enter. And one more time. And Sweep 2. Choose your rails. And profile. Maintain height is on. And these are short runs, so I don't really need to add a slash. Choose your rails, profile, enter, enter. And we take these 2 curves, surfaces, and mirror them to the other side. Okay, let's bring back this, see what it looks like. Okay, so we'll just check, we can take the green, join it. So we've got one open poly surface. You can go to solid and cap planar and created 2 caps resulting in a closed poly surface. So we've got no naked edges. Undo, undo, so that we maintain our history. Now from here, depending on what you want to do, you can, if we can take, let's take these guys with control points on, and maybe you want this to taper a little bit more, you can start grabbing some control points and 1B scaling it. And because we have history on it, we'll update. Maybe want to do a little bit here. A bit more here. That looks fine. Just hit escape to undo. That looks okay. Up here, this maybe I wanted this to come up just a little bit more. Don't need, just turn these guys off. I'm just going to lock the purple just so I don't select it. And I'm going to select all of these curves. I don't want those points though. I don't need these guys anymore. Okay. Select that. Just lock that. Bring the green back. Now, if you want to keep this in the same angle so that it will, so all these points will stay planar, so you can just cap it easily afterwards. As long as you're selecting them all and moving them as a group like this, it'll work fine. You can take this and then move these guys up. And maybe move these guys up a little bit. How are we doing here? Go up a bit more. This whole thing has to come up a bit. And bring it out a bit as well. So let's drop these a bit maybe. Undo that. Grab that guy. And that's not bad. That actually looks pretty good. Now, if you wanted to make, say, this curve here, this guy here, if you wanted to make it a little bit flatter, but you still wanted to keep all of this planar, I showed in a previous video, I was just eyeballing it, and inevitably it will go out and you won't be able to cap. So the easiest way to do it is to just, all you need is a curve from here to here, and you, again, holding down tab locks it in. And now if you want to, say, bring these down a little bit, you can just select whatever control points you want and say move with near on, and it locks it into this pattern here. So you can bring this down, say like so. Getting just a little bit flatter on the top there. But you can play around with it forever, obviously. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Don't need that guy anymore. Now let's bring everything back and save this. So if you're happy with the shape that you have, it's all good. Then you can join it, take the green, join it, mirror it to the other side, join it under solid, cap planar, and here we have two caps, one closed polysurface. Okay, let's just take all that and save it again. Now the next thing to do is we just need the lower gallery here to connect things up. Don't need these curves now. We're going to steal a few curves for that and do a similar operation as to building the shank. So I'm going to take, and I'm going to say that I don't want it flat on top here. So I don't just want it flat. So I'll take this curve and again offset. It's 1.25. There's that curve. And then I'm going to take, oops, turn this off for a second. And we don't need some of this. We don't need the green anymore for right now anyways. I think maybe these guys, put that on green turned off there, just so we've got, so we can take this and we can duplicate it from here to, not intersection, please, thank you. There, and then we can take this and we can rotate it end to end to mid. Let's take this and this, we'll put it on a different color, turn off creation, get rid of these guys for the moment. Oops, join this guy up. And then we want this guy rotate with copy turned on from here, and it needs to just get buried in here. That's probably fine. And we definitely do not want this one to be as wide, because we're going to try to get a taper, something similar to the taper that we have up top. We're going to put it on this one here. Before I do that though, I'm just going to take these two curves. Where's my finger rail? Bring back this guy. I'm going to take these two profiles, join them. I'm going to run a sweep 2 from here to here. Just bring these curves back here. Make sure they line up properly. Enter. Enter. I'm going to put this surface on another column. Just turn it off for a second. Okay, so we need some more curves again. And purple. Just going to put a couple of points out on blue. Not an intersection. Here and here. And again, here and here. If we want, we can just put these on the finger color, just so that we... Now we know we want this to be smaller, so I can take this guy and 1D scale it a little bit. We can eyeball it a bit if we want, say down to there, just as a starting point. And then let's get some curves back up here. So under the curve menu, arc direction with project on from point to point. holding down Shift again, and then from point to point, holding down Shift, and this curve here, put on the finger color. So there's our two curves there, and then we need two more curves again in this view, and this one's easy because these guys haven't changed, so we can just use an arc direction from F4 on finger, point to point, and once again, arc direction from F4, point to point. That's blue. And actually, let's put this one, on this. I don't want the finger. And that can go in gray as well. And we need more arc directions from F4. Whoops. From F4. And one more time. And bring back our finger. Oh, sorry, we don't need that. Okay. I do need that, actually. I need this guy right here. That guy. Is that one. Okay. Curve from two views. Do everything on white, I guess. This one. This guy. And then we don't need this anymore. Put it on gray, turn it off. And we can do the same thing again. Just check to make sure these are connected. 4 intersections, undo, and mirror to the other side. And split this guy and this guy, enter with these guys. Oops, with these guys, enter. And then surface, curve network. One more time. Oops. Curve network. Don't know what I did last time. And then sweep 2. Enter. And mirror. You take this, join it, solid, cap planar, close poly surface, everything's good, undo, undo. Now let's see what we've got here. Okay, so this has to go in a bit. I'm just going to take this, put this guy, turn this off for a sec. That's not what I wanted to do. Keep the curve separate. Keep the surfaces separate. There we go. Ugh, that was terrible. Okay, so we can choose these guys and this guy here. Just get rid of these points. Get rid of these ones as well. choose all that. For control points, bring back the surfaces. Okay. And we definitely want this guy too. We don't need the stone on. And to deselect something, I'm just holding down Control, and we can 1D scale these in a bit. And these. This whole thing right in here has to get quite a bit smaller. So let's just bring these guys back and see what we've got here. Yeah, these guys need more. That's a bit better. And maybe this guy, oops, not that one. Just a bit. There we go. That I don't like. Get rid of this little twist, just so that everything's nice and smooth. I think I don't really want that. So we'll just see if we can just that one. That guy right there. Maybe just have just a bit. Just like that. I think that looks pretty good. Let's bring back these guys just to see what we've got. So it's buried in the gallery, so that's fine. And it's tapering about the same as this top piece as well. And you've got this nice soft curve on both of them, so I like that. So I think I'll call that one good. So now what you can do is you can save everything. Turn that off. So we can take this, we can join it, we can cap it, solid, cap. We've got a closed poly surface. You can take this and mirror it to the other side. And there is the ring pretty much done. Maybe what I'll do is I'll just go through, done it once before, but again, for casting, this would have to get chopped up a little bit. And so maybe we'll just go through that quickly. Just so you can see how I would go about doing this. That's pretty good. Okay, now, so this guy is sitting on top of the shank nicely. So we're going to use this as a cutter. So you can go to Cutters, Boolean Builder. This is the cutter. and we want to keep it. And this is the object being cut. Do Boolean. And turn this guy off. And there's going to be a little bit right here, which we do not need. There and there. Bring this back. And then we'll put a little lock in it. So under solid, put this on cutting, I guess. Right up here, 0.7 might be okay. Turn off the green for a second. That's okay. Turn off the head. Mirror this to the other side. And then the cutter is the cutter, and we want to keep it. And it's just this top part. Do Boolean. Turn off the green and the cutter for 1 second just to make sure it actually worked. It did. So now this cutter is now part of the shank. So if you take this, put it on green, bring all this back, and also we can change that in just a second. And then the last thing to do would be to take the claws, they're cutters, and we're going to keep them. And we want to cut this guy and this guy. It doesn't touch the top of the shank. Turn those guys off. Oops, forgot the top. One more time. There we go. I'm just going to save everything again. And so to send out for casting, what you have is you won't send out the claws. We don't need, other than the finger rail, we don't need the points. Get rid of them. We don't need the curves. Turn that off for 1 second. And then this and all of this is green. And the purple would be, this top part would be a separate, this would be a separate piece. So this is what would go out for casting with the finger rail, sorry. And that's how I'd make that model. I just wanted, I think I forgot to mention in a couple of videos before, I almost never, and almost never union things together. There's no real need to do it as far as I can tell. Never had a problem growing or milling anything. But what you do want to do is, what I do instead of unioning, is I just take items that are supposed to be one piece like this and select them, and then I just type in group and enter. And so now, if anybody happens to move this thing, and it has happened before where I've forgotten to group things and it gets moved, let's ungroup it. Ungroup, 1 second, enter. You think you've chosen everything, and then you move it, and you don't realize that you've left something behind, and so you get it back from casting without a lock in it or whatever. So definitely a great idea to group it, and it just saves a lot of aggravation. As far as unioning things together, the only disadvantage to this method is that if you go into, if you want to know what this is going to weigh, you go to Tools and you go to Metal Weights and you put this in. It will give you a metal weight, but it won't be as accurate as if you had unioned it, because you've got parts that are basically lying in, they're coexisting inside of each other. So you're getting double weights in some of these places. But as long as all of your surfaces or all of your parts are solid, so no naked edges, you you can grow it, you can mill it, you can get a weight on it. It will work fine. Anyways, that's everything for this ring. And the only other thing, and I'll save it for another video, is that in doing it this way, where we have two surfaces here, we now have a very sharp corner. Everything else is nice and curvy, and we've got a sharp corner. And so I want to deal with this sharp corner, and that's why I made this piece here. But I'll do that in another video. Thanks for watching.